Bojo, Bidabanon Kwan Ndeshnakas, Wikwem Kong Donjaba, Nin Nokamis Dao, Minwa Maingan Dodem. Hello, my name is Rolanda Manitowabi. My spirit name translates to Dawn Woman, which represents the light before the day or early morning light. I am from the Wikwemkong unceded territory in Wikwemekong on Manitoulin Island. I am a grandmother and am from the Wolf Clan. There is certainly much to say about advocacy surrounding wage parity and NNADAP resources. I will give my own personal perspectives, what I learned with my part in the Ontario case study, and hopes for change and possibilities. I began working in administration in 2004, overseeing the operations at Gwagungamik Recovery Center. There have been many opportunities to learn and network, as well as join committees dedicated to advancing the voices of NNADAP and addiction services. I have learned from so many. Currently in my community, I still work at oversight of treatment programs, community-based services, and involve myself in community wellness initiatives, raising awareness about domestic violence, advocating for land-based learning, and now moving towards working with helping and healing impacts of familial sexual abuse. Advocacy continues to be important throughout. In terms of resourcing, I have tried to guess at what gets the attention of decision makers. Is it stories, relationships, facts and data, logic, testimonials, crises, trauma, deficits, strengths, or is it luck? In some cases we have been heard, and in many cases it may not be, but feels as though there is no interest. Every regional NNADAP conference held in 2006 has had opportunities for workers to express their successes and challenges. Wage parity has been a big issue at least a decade prior to that, from what I understand. NNADAP workers wanted their voices heard and actions to result. When I started with the ORAPSI, we asked the NNADAP workers what they wished for. We heard two things: wage parity and more opportunities for training. I have had the pleasure of working with the committee in delivering a wide range of training and professional development for NNADAP workers. That part has been great and leads to certification in skills and competencies. I believed at one time that with certification of workers, wage parity would come. Retention incentives did, wage parity did not. I believed at one time that with accreditation of treatment centers, operational resources would increase. It did by a small amount. The ORAPSI sought the support for wage parity for NNADAP through resolutions with the Chiefs of Ontario and the Assembly of First Nations. With the support from the Chiefs, I believed that wage parity for NNADAP would come. It did not. At the treatment center directors table, I believe FNIB heard that while there certainly is an epidemic of opioid addictions, that the treatment centers were already and had been doing their part in helping people with substance abuse. Finally, with the 2018 budget, it was announced that flexible funding would be received for the next 5 years. This made me cry at the time. Then boom, disappointment set in, as it was not what I had hoped for. 3 years in, and another disappointment, which led me back to FNIB to ask for our share of that bit. I have learned recently about the mental wellness alignment, including NNADAP, for community-based funding. What about treatment centers? Needless to say, it is extremely frustrating to work so hard at gathering needed data, making a case, gaining support, and yet NNADAP has not received anywhere near the significant investment it requires. It's been a struggle to support staff with work-life balance when they are asked to do more without appropriate compensation, to advocate for a continuum of care for clients when there are clear gaps, to expand on needed services when resources and capital do not permit, to respond to communities when treatment center service is not quick enough, to accept the sadness and anger from parents who lose their loved ones to overdose or illness when they were on our wait list. Those crappy days are etched in my mind. What if we had the resources to expand and shorten that wait time? Lives would not be lost so prematurely. There is also another side. As diverse as NADAP is, there are commonalities. NADAP workers are an incredible workforce. NADAP is comprised of amazing people who care, those who keep on working despite the inappropriate resources, constant criticism, and relentless calls to do more. Why could they not be compensated fairly? The Ontario case study tells us the average wage for NADAP workers in 2015 was $35,000, and the proposed wage ranges was an average of about $51,000. Quite the gap. To bring salaries up to par for NADAP, it would have cost about $6 million for the workforce then. A $6 million investment to pay our workers an appropriate salary that would help reduce attrition, burnout, and would lessen the stress and worry workers may have on how to make their own ends meet, while they are extending their hands in helping others in the communities. Many NADAP workers are skilled, intuitive, knowledgeable, and experienced in helping. They connect with clients. They share cultural teachings and practices. There are many who go beyond because their work is purposeful and meaningful. I see the joy and satisfaction that counselors have in clients who take small steps, healthy steps towards improving their lives with this disease of addictions. At work, I sometimes look at the before and after pictures of clients. It's nothing short of a miracle to see the drastic physical changes in people even within a few weeks of treatment. I can only imagine the mental, emotional, and spiritual changes these clients may be experiencing. Many come into treatment telling themselves that they are messed up, and they leave with such pride, confidence, with tools and practice in recovery, and with a plan for their future with family and community. I know it's a process, not magic, but it's so magical. Then sadly, many go back to their similar environments as before. Relapse is common and we think it's inevitable. It doesn't have to be. What if there were supportive aftercare and help for families in recovery? Those seeking treatment, many have been dealing with addictions for a minimum of 10 years, have used multiple types of drugs, have mental health issues and very little support. Pre-pandemic, they would have to wait anywhere from 1 month to 5 or 6 months at times to get a bed. Addictions costs the healthcare system, the justice system, the family systems, and the communities. It costs us. For those who don't get help, we don't ever get to experience their gifts and love in the world. Addictions is a long road, a costly road for the person, their family, and our communities. As per the case study, an investment of $35 million is needed to expand the NADAP workforce. This could result in reaching so many more people in need and provide lengthier and staged services. This could help implement the Honoring Our Strengths framework in ways that work for our people. There could be treatment programs, outpatient and otherwise, in communities. There could be support for moms and dads, grandmas and grandpas who have children and adult children dealing with addictions. They are living in constant worry, anxiety, fear, and sometimes chaos. What if the wait list was minimal, with transition homes to support clients through detox and help prepare clients for treatment? What if there was residential aftercare programs to give a solid foundation in recovery? What if we helped the person with the disease, their families, and communities? What if we provided them with skills and education for all of those lifestyle changes? Investing and expanding the NADAP workforce who is ready to help can make help more accessible and sustainable. I don't recall the exact numbers, so don't quote me, but as part of the Ontario case study, we put together our audits of 20 to 24 years to see what kind of trend this might infer. At the time, I learned in black and white and in dollars and cents that our budget was increasing about 2.2% annually. Our operating expenses, however, were increasing anywhere from 5 to 24%. It's obvious as time goes on, some things would have to give. To implement the Honoring Our Strengths framework, as we saw it for us, to provide services more along the continuum of care, we calculated needing 40% increase in our budget at that time. With support through the modernization of treatment centers, true to NADAP as we are, we restructured services, accessed a few more dollars, and learned to incorporate more services along the continuum of care with what we had, with nowhere near an increase of 47%. This is not sustainable, but we have been receiving project dollars to help. In the last few years, we looked at the data and records again. Client records and feedback indicate and have always indicated trauma underlies the disease of addictions. Abuse in childhood, abandonment, and profound grief are more specific examples of trauma carried by so many. I see the constant need for treatment beds. Sometimes we are servicing only 40% of the people seeking help. What if we had more beds available? What if we could serve more in treatment with less wait times? What if there was support for someone who had decided right now that they wanted help? Better yet, why not take the time and help address the core issues and help with healing? The symptoms will alleviate over time. You might ask, what could that investment do? To do this right and for long-term sustainability, we need to implement the mental wellness continuum framework, cultural supports, workforce development, clinical supervision, clear and meaningful data management, workplace wellness initiatives. We need to know with certainty that processes are effective and outcomes desired are achieved. At Gwagungamik Recovery Center, we are embarking on extensive training in familial sexual abuse and healing for survivors, many impacted by addictions. We will be offering this service in Wikwemikong as an outpatient service over the long term. I believe getting to the core of the issue while helping reduce the impacts of addictions and stop the cycle, helping one another embrace our cultural values and teachings, will provide the needed shift in recovery and reframing our perspective to that of strength and resilience. We are lucky and thankful that FNIB funded the capital for our brand new Healing Lodge in Wikwemikong. We will be moving into the Healing Lodge very shortly. A healing lodge to address addictions and where there will be long-term counseling for impacts of sexual abuse for our community members. I pray that proposals are approved. We need the operating funding. We will keep talking, writing proposals, advocating, collaborating, looking for partners and support to get the resources we need to implement more fully what is needed to get the appropriate level of service to help with healing. We all need your help, your support, your advocacy, your ideas, and collective voices. Imagine if there were resources to support the detox process, a place for anyone to drop in if they had the need. Imagine if there were a team of professionals for thorough assessments, medically, physically, neurologically, an assessment of history of the family and of mental health. Imagine with elder supports, teachings, ceremonies to help us with connection and belonging. What would it do for people to have support for transitional care, safe places for those preparing for treatment, residential aftercare for those coming out of treatment? Imagine if there were supports for families to address this disease of addictions, to rebuild family relationships, to establish strong circles of support. Imagine if those in recovery could then establish regular access to health care and routine checks. Imagine if we had training and education programs to enhance their skills and knowledge. What if we were to reunite them with their families, their children, support and resolve long-standing issues that could help heal those wounds? What if the destructive cycles of abuse and addictions could be stopped in our families and our communities? To end, I will say it's not just about wages. It's not just about the work. It's not just about addictions. It's about advocating for holistic wellness. We need leaders, we need chiefs, we need governments, we need collectives to advocate for this type of investment. The facts are, we all belong. Regardless of any disease or health condition, we all deserve opportunities to be well, to be whole, and to be who we really are. Elder Howard of the Thunderbird Partnership Foundation once said, "There's another way." Maybe we can walk that path of another way together. Miigwech for all you do.